Okay, we're on episode 2, page 8. When we left episode 1, we had been introduced to Grendel. He is said to be a descendant of the devil, descendant of Cain. Hrothgar is said to have been sent by the Lord, been sent by what is good in the world. So on your theme tracker, under the category of good and evil, I suggest that you fill out Hrothgar is seen as the good, whereas Grendel is seen as the evil, and how they are going to now interact. Then, when darkness had dropped, Grendel went up to Heorot, wondering what the warriors would do in that hall when their drinking was done. He found them sprawled in sleep, suspecting nothing, their dreams undisturbed. The monster's thoughts were as quick as his greed or his claws. He slipped to the door, and there in the silence snatched up 30 men, smashed them unknowing in their beds, and ran out with their bodies, the blood dripping behind him, back to his lair, delighted with his night slaughter. So Grendel attacks at night. This is very important. He kills 30 Danes and takes them back to his lair. Okay? At daybreak, when the sun's first light, they saw how well he had worked, and in that gray morning broke their long feast with tears and laments for the dead. Hrothgar, their lord, sat joyless in Heorot, a mighty prince mourning the fate of his lost friends and companions, knowing by its tracks that some demon had torn his followers apart. He wept, fearing the beginning might not be the end. And that night Grendel came again, so set on murder that no crime could ever be enough. So savage assault quenched his lust for evil. Then each warrior tried to escape him, searched for rest in different beds, as far from Heorot as they could find, seeing how Grendel hunted when they slept. Distance was safety. The only survivors were those who fled. Hate had triumphed. So Grendel doesn't just attack one night. He comes back night after night after night. And because he continues to come back, continues to kill, people don't stay in Heorot anymore. Distance was safety. So now Heorot, this beautiful hall that Hrothgar has built, has now been empty because of what Grendel has done. If we look on our theme tracker, there is the characteristic and convention, which is supernatural forces. Grendel is referred to as a demon. He is affecting what is happening to these people that are considered to be good. You can also use number 6 as the poet retains a measure of objectivity. He's being very objective in that he's telling the story of not only what's happening to Hrothgar, but what's happening to Grendel. Grendel is happy. Grendel is killing. Grendel has stopped the music, has stopped the celebrations, but on the other side, Hrothgar is now mourning. He's mourning not only the loss of his men, but that he can't protect his country any farther. You could also fill out number 7. Where the narrative opens by stating the theme or subject matter. Like we said right in the beginning, this is the battle between good and evil. This is the battle that Hrothgar is considered to be good, Grendel is considered to be evil. Okay, so let's pick up. We are on line 144 on page 9. So Grendel ruled, fought with the righteous, won against many, and won. So Heorot stood empty and stayed deserted for years, 12 winters of grief for Hrothgar, king of the Danes, sorrow heaped at his door by hell-forged hands. Hell-forged hands, remember, is an epithet or a kenning, which you can put under number 5, which is a style of sustained elevation. Okay, so line 149, hell-forged hands, meaning Grendel's hands were created by hell or created by the devil. His misery leaped the seas, was told and sung in all men's ears, how Grendel's hatred began, how the monster relished his savage war on the Danes, keeping the bloody feud alive, seeking no peace, offering no truce, accepting no settlement, no price in gold or land, and paying the living for one crime only with another. No one waited for reparation from his plundering claws. That shadow of death hunted in the darkness, stalked Hrothgar's warriors, old and young, lying and waiting, hidden in mist, invisibly following them from the edge of the marsh, always there, unseen. This goes back to our discussion when we talked about monsters and the fact that Grendel is a monster that cannot be seen, but always seems to be right around the corner, who is on the edge of the darkness. That's scary. The unknown is scary. And Grendel, although we haven't had any description of what he actually looks like, we know what he may be like based upon his actions. So if you look back over the notes over my shoulder, Hrothgar is fearful, sad, and angry. He tries to give Grendel land. He tries to give him money. He tries to bribe him, but Grendel refuses. Grendel wants to kill. He wants to make life miserable for the Danes and for Hrothgar. The Danes run from Grendel. They do not fight. They don't feel like they physically have the ability to actually fight against this monster. No one is able to defeat Grendel. There's a lot of talking, but not really a lot of action, because the action ends up with death. Heorot is empty, and it remains empty for 12 winters, or 12 years. And it's for 12 years that Grendel is actually terrorizing Denmark. Now, the news of Grendel's attacks are sung at banquets, just like the poem Beowulf is. This is how news was broadcasted across the land and across the oceans. And it has spread so fast that it's actually gotten to Geatland, to the Geats. And everyone is now hearing of this monster that's terrorizing Hrothgar. Grendel hunts at night, remember, in the marshlands, in the moors. He is alone. He is sneaky. The fact that he hunts at night says a lot about his character as well. He doesn't want to be seen. He doesn't want to be forthcoming. So there's the idea that Grendel actually has fear. And he has the fear of not only being seen, but maybe of being defeated. Okay? Let's pick up on line 164 on page 9. So mankind's enemies continued his crimes, killing as often as he could, coming alone, bloodthirsty and horrible. Though he lived in Heorot, when the night hid him, he never dared to touch King Hrothgar's glorious throne, protected by God. God, whose love Grendel could not know. But Hrothgar's heart was bent. The best and most noble of his council debated remedies, sat in secret sessions, talking of terror and wondering what the bravest of warriors could do. And sometimes they sacrificed to the old stone gods, made heathen vows, hoping for hell's support, the devil's guidance in driving their affliction off. So a lot of things just happened. Grendel lives in Heorot at night. He actually stays there. He enjoys the beauty of the hall, and he'll use every aspect of the hall, except he refuses or is unable to touch Hrothgar's throne because the throne has been blessed by God. So on your theme tracker, you can fill in information about religion, how God still has power over this descendant of evil. You could also fill in courage and bravery, as in Grendel is not brave. He does not have courage. You can argue that he's courageous and that he actually goes and tries to attack these men, but he does it under the cover of darkness. He's afraid to touch the throne. He's afraid to actually fight like a monster should, without any fear, because he has fear. And then we just read on line 175 at the very bottom of 9 that sometimes they sacrifice to the old stone gods. Those are the pagan gods. So the next aspect is a contrast between paganism and Christianity. So you could use lines 175 through lines 182 as a comparison between paganism and Christianity. That was their way, and the heathen's only hope. Hell always in their hearts, knowing neither God nor his passing as he walks through our world, the Lord of heaven and earth. Their ears could not hear his praise nor know his glory. Let them beware, those who are thrust into danger, clutched at by trouble, yet can carry no solace in their hearts, cannot hope to be better. Hail to those who will rise to God, drop off their dead bodies, and seek our Father's peace. As we end, you can see in the notes behind me that there is this idea of paganism versus Christianity. The Danes pray to God and to pagan gods. They're basically praying to whoever will help them. The Danes are feeling hopeless. God isn't helping. The pagan gods aren't helping. Nobody is listening to them. The narrator then comments at the end that if the Danes were purely Christian, perhaps God would help them. But because they're choosing to pray to whoever's going to listen or whoever's going to help, the narrator may believe that this is their downfall. It's believed that this actual section was an opinion that was put in by a previous translator or scribe. It's clearly not objective, and it is a little biased. So this is the problem with translations. People translate over translations, and so we have these kind of inconsistencies that prove or disprove some of the characteristics or conventions of epics. Basically, an external or an outside force or an internal solution has to be made. Someone needs to come in from the outside, or something has to happen internally in order for Grendel to be abolished.